I worked for Coca-Cola for 22 plus years, and I just actually quit that job about a month ago. And my wife and I bought the Paisley Pear Wine Bar, Bistro, and Market. And we've kind of been learning how to be business owners, as my wife continues to be a teacher and will be a teacher. And on my off time, I guess you could say I'm a city commissioner and a mayor. And I've coached many youth sports, a lot of rec sports over the years, and have absolutely loved the kids I've got to coach over the years. Very involved in my church, different committees. And I guess I would say I'm very much a family man. I probably get more joy being around either my kids or my dad or my brothers and sisters than I do anything. My wife Heather is a special ed teacher at Hayes Middle School. I believe she just started her 18th year. Brandon is a freshman, which is 15. Corey is 12 and is a 7th grader, and Megan is a kindergartner and just turned 6. And they keep us very busy, but we love every minute of it. Well, I think it was more me than the wife. For years, I worked for corporate, for Coca-Cola, and I loved every minute of it. I loved the people I've met over the years. I just always loved, I like working with customers, and I guess that's part of being a commissioner. And I really was just dying to be back in front of customers, working with them. My big thing was retail. I like helping people in the market part of our business, but I knew that probably wasn't enough to pay the bills. And one night I was at home, and I was sitting on the couch. She was just having a glass of wine, and I said, "Man, what a great idea to start a wine bar." And so we started doing a lot of research, and it's been very good so far. It's got a lot of learning to do, but I'm enjoying every minute of it. The DHDC, to me, it's too early to know. I don't have a different viewpoint. I do have a different viewpoint on how much the businesses work together downtown. I've already done a fashion show in my wine bar. Didn't know that was going to happen, but it's great. And I have cards in the corner of our building that kind of tries to advertise not only downtown businesses, but businesses in Hayes. And I take great pride in, to be honest with you, showing off our town. I love it. We get people from off the interstate to come down and go to Gela, stop by our place, and they ask different places. And I take great pride in saying, yeah, we also got this. And once my term is up in January, it will be 4.5 years. And the reason it's 4.5 years is because when the state changed the date of the voting, it usually was in April, and now it's in November. So my term will run till January, and hopefully get reelected. Well, I've really enjoyed the people I've met in the community. I feel like I knew a lot of people in the community. I really had no clue how many people that just involved in so many different things. And I know you've heard me say this many times, but the different events that go on in our town, all over town, whether it's downtown or just anywhere, they wouldn't be possible without the volunteers. And I always tell my wife, I get more joy out of volunteering than when I'm actually making money. And when you work with these people, they're the same way. They just want to make Hayes great. And we're working on our long-term water source, and I feel like we're as close as we've ever been. And I'm not saying it will be done even in the next 4 years, but I'd sure like to be part of that. And definitely the positive of being a city commissioner, for me personally, outweighs the negative. That you get some negative, some emails, but the positive definitely outweighs the negative. Well, the one thing, and before I came in here, I was going door to door today, and I've had a lot of people today say, "What are you going to do to bring more high-paying jobs in?" And we've been working on that. City Commission's been working on it. It's just not an easy task. A lot of businesses aren't expanding. Retail's another huge thing that we're trying everything we can. We have very low unemployment. We need to make it a way to where people can move to Hayes affordable. And affordable is in the eye of the beholder. What one person thinks is affordable, another person doesn't. But we need to have more high-paying jobs moving into this town. And it's not just retail. And we just have to be open to anything. And right now, those people aren't beating down the doors coming to Hayes. But I think, and in the city, we're working on trying to just basically look at every avenue possible to see if there's businesses will want to come to town, whether it's more call centers that, would pay more money or just anything. It's not an easy find right now, but we can't give up on that. I had a neighbor of mine, a guy that I have a lot of respect for, that questioned me the other day because a lot of people were complaining why we're not going after the Tyson chicken farm. It'd be great to have it, but we're going after a long-term water source. And even after, if we get that, that's going to be a 50 to 75 year water source for us. And if we go after something like that, they would probably double the amount of water we use now. And that's not sustainable, and that's not good for our community. It would be a quick fix, but I think it would, long term, would ruin our community, in my opinion. Just today, like I was saying, guy just moved to Hayes, and it was really neat talking to him. He was just asking how the city commission worked and talking about housing, and said he was kind of in shock on the high housing prices here. And I guess my thing is to that is I don't feel, in my opinion, the government should get involved on the housing prices. We have to be careful, on the specials that, when we do have new developments, but on the other hand, the specials are what pay for it, and I don't think, guy across the street should be paying for you if you're in a new housing development. And it's just really touchy because the specials is what drive up the price, but it's, it shouldn't be, in my opinion, somebody who's lived across the street for 20 years, they shouldn't have to pay for your new development. And we just got to find a way to possibly lower some of the prices. And some of the, you talk to some of the landowners, and they said if the right thing was willing to come in, they would be willing to sell. And a lot of the landowners don't believe their prices are too high. And who am I to say that their price is too high? I mean, that's if they own it, that's their land. I mean, really, all the stuff we just talked about is stuff that we're actively, working on. But the biggest thing that I hear over and over, and I feel like we've gotten better, but when I first got on, a lot of people complained that, the commission was so unapproachable. We won't come to you and talk to you guys because you guys, and we have. I've been on there when I've heard guys kind of, whether it was the school board and the bond, kind of knocking down because some of them, I'm going to put myself in we, but, some of them disagree with them. And you can say no without disrespecting people. And I think we always have to show respect to people because, people, if you treat them with respect, you get a lot more out of them than when you disrespect them. And hopefully we'll get some people in here that have some idea that something we haven't brought up. And I think just listening to ideas is worth it. Just because it's my idea doesn't make it the right idea or the wrong idea.
So maybe some more collaboration.
Oh, absolutely. And I will tell you, I think it's got better. I think we've got a lot better with the county, without a doubt. And honestly, I think it's always been there. I mean, a lot of people don't realize how much the school and the county and the city, share resources. And that is something we have to continue to do, and maybe even do more as, the budgets get tighter. And to me, the residents of Hayes are the ones that win if we continue to work together and, make us better. Well, for me, it's pray oil prices go up. I really believe, when I first got on, oil prices were almost an all-time high, and we were the city was in great shape. And I will say, though, I think the city's in really good shape still because we don't just spend, we put reserves back, and we pay as we go. We continue to do that, and if we can't do it, we don't do it. And but it's a little nerve-wracking when you see them continually being down. But I've talked to the city manager, and from what we've put back, if we continue to prioritize, we're good for 2 to 3 years and stuff. And, we just gave raises to the employees, which I think they very much deserved. A lot of places aren't getting raises, but we didn't raise the mill levy, and we have no plans of raising the mill levy. To me, if we have to cut back on anything, the outside agencies would be the absolute first. But we're in good shape. I mean, our CVB has been bringing in a lot of funds that we can use for different, selling our town, and we have more hotels coming in. And I'll tell you what, that is a good revenue source that doesn't affect the locals, except for bringing, a few more jobs in town. It's a great revenue source to to help sell our town to outsiders. Well, I know there's, I mean, I've heard there's 2 that are coming very soon, possibly, but until I see it on, you know, it's signed on the dotted line, I've heard there's possibly a hotel coming with the convention center, but, you know, there's a lot of things we hear and never does happen. So, but I think, you know, there's been a lot of people beg for a convention center.
Yeah, that's something. What are you hearing? Is anybody mentioning that?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard this one hotel wants to be that part of their hotel, and I've said all along, you know, the city shouldn't own it. I mean, that should be a private because they're going to make money off of it. But I think it'd be a great thing to, you know, get more people in the town. The more time, I mean, I've heard it'd be between 250 and 300 seats. You know, I mean, that's more people come to our town because we are losing a lot of those meetings that, you know, you talk to different people, work at Fort Hays, different places, and Hays used to be in rotation, and now they're going to Dodge and Wichita and stuff. And if we get them here, you know, every little bit, you know, and we have Special Olympics, and those people like that, they're begging for places like that to be. And then, you know, the easier it is for people to come here and shop and spend money, and if we can make it welcoming to them, I think it's better for our community long term. You know, it's funny. It's people my age and younger I've really been shocked at. They have like, oh my gosh, that's the stupidest thing ever. But then people, you know, I'm 45, older than me, are like, you know, it's a great idea. If you guys can make that better because it's so dangerous, we think it's great. And that's not what I was envisioning. I thought it would be just the opposite. You know, when you talk to people that have traveled, been to other communities, they're like, yeah, it's hard at first, but it really makes sense. I really don't know. I've driven them. They don't bother me. They're different. They're absolutely, it's just different. It would take time, especially on the busiest street in Hays. But for me, the biggest thing is how are we going to pay for it? You know, and I mean, we don't have, you know, $5 million just laying around. So and it may be something we do have to borrow, which we haven't done that. We've paid everything in cash. But I guess my thing is if it's something that, you know, I've talked to a lot of people that get off in Hays, and they said, we won't get off in Hays again because you can't get on the road without it being dangerous to get back on and get back on the interstate. And that's concerning because how many people are we losing? How many dollars are we losing because of that? And honestly, if we get them in and people feel safe to come to Hays, then hopefully they'll spend more time here and, you know, spend more money here. So I think it's an idea. I haven't seen an alternative. So, that's you know, from what I've seen and the numbers I've seen, it looks good, but I have not seen one iota on how we're going to pay for it, and that would be my biggest concern. So,
Absolutely.
And the safety, without a doubt. The more I do door to door, I'm sure it's going to come up, and you know, a lot of times, honestly, that face to face, you learn more than anything. And like I told people when I got elected the first time, every time I make a vote, if I had time to talk to every resident in Hays to get your true, you know, what you want, I would do it, but you can't. You just have to try to get engaged in the community and see what people like and, you know, do your best. And, you know, there's going to be times you're going to make a vote and it's going to be the wrong vote, but you try to learn from your mistakes and move on. I tell people all the time, you know, I don't have a home phone, but you know, if you would, please give them my cell phone number. It's 785-656-2171. You know, I have people call me, text me all the time. You know, what I like about that is you get the tone of what their conversation is. You know, sometimes people just they're just curious when they email you, but sometimes you read it, you think, oh, they're mad, and it couldn't be further from the truth. But when you're talking to them, I personally would rather do it face to face, but that's not always possible. But, you know, I had a guy call me today complaining about something said at the city commission meeting the other day, and, you know, after the phone call was over, it was a very good conversation. So it's yeah, I appreciate the face-to-face more than I do the emails and stuff like that. But I'll take whatever, and I do my best when I'm not busy to respond as soon as I can. So I guess the good thing about a small business owner is, yeah, you're there a lot of hours, but on the other hand, I'm in Hays now where I was in Victoria before. So if I have to run somewhere for 10, 15 minutes, I can do that and run back. And, you know, and I guess for me is I want to be successful just like I want Walmart or Home Depot or Heartland Lumber or anywhere. You know, it's not about all small business. If we're all successful, our community's doing good. And I know right now it's pretty tough for a lot of the businesses because of oil being down, but, you know, if we all work together and, you know, just keep our head up, it's going to be good. And I think, you know, we got a great community. We got a lot of great people that live in this town. I may not be the the fanciest talker or whatever, but I will guarantee I'll be honest with you, and I'll work as hard as possible to get the answers for you. And the good thing is being a city commissioner is if you don't have the answers, our city staff for me has blown me away to where they may not always give me the answer I want, but they can get you the answers to what's going on. And I welcome if people don't understand what we're doing or why we're doing to call me or text me or email, whatever. And if I don't know it, I will get you the answer. And I appreciate people giving me the first 4 years, and hopefully they'll give me a chance to do that. And if not, I have no regrets.